volume on too loud on TV, maybe?
I think it's through here.
It's you.
Yeah, so just mute yourself.
It's you through, yeah. Mute yourself. Look around, sit.
Speakers off.
So,
I can't. No. There's two different screens.
Right here. Try them.
Feels like a Monday.
I'm ready and this is recording and that's gone live. So I'm ready.
All right, so I'll call the meeting to order. Skip the pledge of allegiance and move into a roll call.
Okay, Dan Hines,
Here.
Rick Foster,
Present.
Richard Ishfordine,
Present.
Chet Yannick,
Here.
Pat Russell,
Here.
Rick Gallo, and John Gallagher.
Present. I have a quorum. At this time, I look for approval of the minutes from December 15th.
So moved.
I
Second.
just got one little typo.
Go ahead.
Page 3 of 34, second line from the bottom. Should the land bank worth, it should be work, W-O-R-K.
Thank you. Any other comments?
We lost sound.
Yeah, it shows that the county is muted for some reason.
Can you try it now?
Yeah, Chet needed on here.
All right, I hear you.
Okay, now we got it.
So we have a motion for the amended minutes and a second for approval. I'll call the question. Everybody raise their hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Public comment. Anybody wishes to call in, 231-256-8109. Is there any public comment at this time? Hearing none, we'll move right into the annual organizational items. Trudy, do you take over?
No.
No. All right, so for election of officers, at this time, I'll accept nominations for vice chairman.
I'll nominate Dan Hines for vice chairman.
Support. Any other nominations? Hearing no nominations. Call the question. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Dan, thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'd accept a nomination for secretary.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Trudy Gala.
Second.
Second and third and fourth.
By acclamation.
All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you, Trudy.
Yep.
At this time, I'll accept nominations for treasurer.
I'll nominate Richard I.
Support.
Any other nominations? Hearing no nominations, call the question. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, Richard. Moving further down, to B, review and adopt the 2021 meeting schedule on page 8 of your packet. Look for a approval of the 2021 proposed meeting schedule for Leelanau County Land Bank Authority as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Thank you, Trudy. All right, open discussion for identifying 2021 goals. In the handout, we have the goals adopted and approved October 27th, 2009. And it looks like in our packet, we have some suggested
It's for the next.
oh, those are for the
bylaws.
bylaws and policies, okay?
Richard did send me in 2 goals. One was to find more ways to serve our community, and the second one was find new ways to promote our services to our community.
Where would that be appropriate to, under programmatic?
It would be to identify goals for this body moving forward into 2021. It doesn't actually go into any of those documents.
Okay. So are you looking to make any modifications to, yes, Dan,
I've got a couple comments.
please.
Step 1, where we say use the land bank disposition program to promote, I would insert affordable housing, and the rest is okay. Also, under organization, item 2, as I recall rereading last meeting minutes, you talked about asking the county board for financing to have extra funds available in case something else comes up. So then we wouldn't be revenue or budget neutral, wouldn't we?
Budget neutral in the sense that for governmental accounting, the final trial balance would pull from either contingency or from capital.
I agree, but it ends, that item 2 ends with financially independent of the county.
Dan, could you tell us where you're at?
Under
Number 2,
organization, item 2, the last 4 or 5 words, we say financially independent of the county.
And that would still,
I'm still not following. What page of the agenda?
the goals,
Okay.
sorry.
Just an observation.
May I elaborate a little bit further? The Senate is working, or the Michigan Association of County Treasurers is working with the Senate and Fiscal Accountability Board to allow for land banks to have the authority to pull from the forfeiture fees associated with the tax foreclosure process for funding for the land bank operations. What I proposed earlier is that we have an agreement with the county that is separate from any future legislation that is going to be passed that would allow us to have a line of credit, if you will, a borrowing threshold that we would be able to tap into for projects that would be pulled from the delinquent tax revolving fund for the purposes of remediation or demolition, so on and so forth, that could be repaid over the tax increment financing. So it was a question that I wanted to propose to this body, is if we wanted to pursue that. And if so, then I would ask for permission to work with corporate counsel to draft such an agreement. If that is this body's intent, we still think that we would be independent and it would be quid pro quo. It's just a financial resource available to the land bank as we move forward through these projects.
So is that going to be a new business item or something today, or you want it?
It's not on the agenda for today. We have enough on the agenda, so we can bring it up at a later time if this body's interested in discussing that.
Okay. One last item then.
Go ahead, sir.
Organization item 3, third line, we talk about incorporating the county's housing programs with the land bank authority. Well, isn't there that housing task force that's like a subcommittee of the county board? So we're not incorporating that into the land bank.
Now, there's a housing action committee that is under the county planning commission as a subcommittee. I think what this referred to before was the actual housing rehab programs and grants, so forth, run through our office, but those rehab grants are no longer available. So I don't even know what we have moving forward at this point.
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I had a question for Dan. Dan, I didn't, you started to talk and you listed, you mentioned affordable housing, but I didn't hear what you were saying. Were you suggesting a modification on the goals?
Yes. Under programmatic, step 1, where we say use the land bank disposition program to promote, then insert the words housing, affordable housing, and.
Thank you. I'm pleased.
So it'd be the recommendation to remove the last sentence under item 3, under the organization. This would include incorporating the county's housing program to the Land Bank Authority. Completely remove that this time. Is there any other suggestions, comments, or questions regarding our? All right, hearing nothing, so I would look for an approval of the Leelanau County Land Bank Authority's goals as amended.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Then all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Passes. Thank you, everyone. Bylaws, policies, and procedures. Ms. Gallo, can you take lead on this?
Yeah, this is, I'm not sure if you want to discuss this today or perhaps leave it. I did include it in your packet. Dan provided some comments and some changes. And then I did send it on to corporate counsel along with the brownfields documents as well, because I think we have some overlap, some redundancy in some of these documents. And the county is looking at all their policies and procedures. So I wanted to ask corporate counsel, what is it that we actually are required to have? And then maybe we can cut it down from there. And of course, having these multiple documents, if you miss something where you change something in one and you don't have it, you don't change it in the other document, then you have a problem. So I don't know if you want to take additional comments or suggestions today. I'd be glad to send those on to corporate counsel, but I think we would be best to wait and see what they say.
I agree. I think that we should move this forward to the next meeting for an update. But at this time, are there any suggestions, comments that we can incorporate into the review?
Just one more.
Yes, sir.
Page 12 of 34, item 4.5, we're talking about the quorum, and there was a discussion last month, I read it in the minutes again, that we're talking about perhaps having Zoom aspects in here to have a quorum with.
Yeah, I can relate that. I suggested we hold off and see what happens at the state level, because the Open Meetings Act has been modified numerous times since last year, and the current rationale expires March 31st, and I'm sure there'll be some modifications also. So I suggest we wait on that till see what the state does in that perspective. Right now, we're abiding by state law, which means we can't have remote Zoom meetings.
Okay.
If that goes into effect on a permanent basis, that obviously impacts our bylaws.
We can bring it up at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Then we'll move this forward to review for our February meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Moving to discussion action items, page 2931. We have Ms. Wendy Irvin from Habitat joining us.
Yes, I'm here.
This is an update from Habitat on the Maple City housing project. I'll give you the floor, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the Land Bank Authority, and thank you for having us here this morning to give you an update on our Maple City project, which, as you know, is a partnership with the Land Bank Authority. We have our project manager, Nathan Kelchek, who will do the presentation this morning. Just one note before we start, we did have a presentation to the Casson Township Planning Commission last evening, but their meeting was postponed till Wednesday. So we don't have that update for you this morning, but we will know more about that tomorrow evening and we'll keep you posted on that. So having shared that, I will turn it over right now for Nathan to give you the update on the project.
Good. Nathan, you're on mute.
There we go. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I know you have the plans in your packet, but if you'd like, I can also, I got it up on my other screen, so I could share the screen if you'd like. Just let me know. As you received in your packet, we have the drawings completed, the site plan, and submitted into the township. I think we have a good design. We've also reached out to the county road commission for the driveways. We've reached out to the health department. We're working on the well and septic permits. We're both, for both, we are going to probably go with the Part 41 and go through the state for those. It's actually a little more simplified if we go in that direction. Rick Prince is helping us with our design and our approvals. And yeah, we're moving forward, just waiting on approval from Casson. As Wendy said yesterday, we were supposed to have a meeting, and technology, as we had today, got in the way. So we weren't able to get everybody involved from their township board or their planning board. They couldn't get a quorum, I think was the problem. And so it got delayed to Wednesday. So we're going to get back together and go over it and see if there's any issues. Like I said, I can share the screen if you'd like, if anyone has any questions on the design itself.
I have a question just regarding the Part 41.
Sure.
Has Habitat gone through this process before?
I'm not aware that Habitat has gone through it because I don't think they had to for the depot houses that we did in Traverse City. That was all through the city of Traverse City.
Sure. No.
So no, then that's what Rick Prince is helping with.
Very good. So what are our contingencies at this point? Either with the township, state, county, what's outstanding to get this project moving forward? And when would you anticipate that occurring?
Well, as I said, we're waiting on the township. That's the big one to move forward with everything else. You know, you hate to do too much design and too many applications if they're right up on the front end are going to make or require some changes. So hopefully this meeting on Wednesday, we'll be able to move forward. One of the little things, as you know, there was 3 lots there. And as the layout shows, if we leave it in the 3-lot configuration, the layout for one of the duplexes has an issue with setbacks. So it was Tim Cipher's recommendation that we combine the 3 lots, and he didn't feel like that would really affect our design. In fact, it would help. So we have to get that moving forward once we get approval. And our goal is to be starting our first foundation by mid-June. So at this point, it still seems like everything's on target.
And to reiterate, I mean, we aren't asking for a conditional or a special use. This is a permitted use for these parcels. I mean, we're within the current zoning regulations.
Yes, we had use by right was for 3. We're allowed to have 3 duplexes on these properties. The only, slight change is that the fact that we're going to combine the lots, and for layout, if you look at the drawing, it gives better spacing. So that's why we're doing it. So I don't foresee, you never know, but I don't foresee any issues with the way we have it drawn up. We were purposely designing it to stay off the heavy traffic of 667. So the driveways are on the side streets. for safety, and we've designed it so it's spread out the best we can, to give privacy and just the overall look of the whole design.
Fantastic. No, it looks good, and I look forward to hearing what the township does have to say. Does anybody from this body have any questions for Habitat at this time?
I had the opportunity to talk with Wendy and Nate about this last week, and I went through the design. I wanted to have a little more familiarity before I came for the land bank too, put on the agenda. They did explain that they're looking at a single car garage, no basement here. Nate or Wendy, can you tell me though, is this a single floor design? Are there upstairs in these?
At this point, it's a one-story design, very similar. We're working with an architect for the design of the duplexes, but the original idea was to use, because we're using the same requirements that we have for our single-family homes that we do now, with the zero-step entrance, the size requirements. So all those come into play when we're designing these. So it'll be very similar, other than sharing. Our idea is to share the garage wall, so there's not a noise issue between the two units. So we're planning on 3-bedroom, bath and a half.
That's, I think, what the area needs.
Do you have a approximate selling cost once these are done, or a range that you're looking at?
Wendy, I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Trudy. The selling cost is determined upon the individual clients that we serve based on their income and their household, members in their household. So it's a very individualized end result for the homeowner, making it affordable to them. So it's 30% or less of their income. But you might be asking maybe specifically about what we think the homes could be appraised at. And when we did comparables in the areas, it is a little difficult to find anything exactly like it. So the best and closest comparable home in the community was actually the Habitat house that we recently built within proximity to our new build. So I imagine that the appraised value will come in pretty close to 200,000, equivalent to the other one that we recently built. But the actual mortgage that the homeowner will pay will be 30% or less of their income. So that could vary for each homeowner. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions from this body?
I got one.
Yeah.
Since we're co-partners in this project with Habitat for Humanity, and I know it's very young in the progression of this project, but are there any surprises so far on the budget in terms of more cost for the septic, or the road commission requirements to upgrade the road, things of that nature?
Not that I'm aware of. Road Commission has not come back and made any comments, other than just the fact that once we apply for the driveway permits, that they'll come out. We have not actually applied for them. Again, we're waiting for that first step with the township to kind of to hit the gates and really start getting into some of these other approvals.
How about the recent increases in the lumber costs?
That is something that I'm aware of from the project manager standpoint. It's actually in my discussions with some of the lumber suppliers, it spiked and it's actually come back down a little bit. And hopefully that's the other thing about this starting in June. They've projected that, that it's, with COVID being that much farther along, that the supply is going to be a little bit better. that was what was driving, one of the things that was driving the cost so high, is you just couldn't get materials. So hopefully that changes. It's getting better. I mean, I had a problem with the houses that we were doing in Williamsburg. We were having problems getting materials such as like windows and doors. A lot of the suppliers couldn't even get them. So hopefully that changes by this spring.
Any other questions on Maple City project? I have one question outstanding regarding Silk Road. Can you guys give me an update on that? It was going to be for sale. You were looking for buyer. Now I see it's up for rent. What transpired there? The Petrosky house?
We did, we renovated the home and we were seeking a Habitat homeowner to live there, but we couldn't find anybody to meet the eligibility, and that could actually fit in a 2-bedroom home. So our board determined to sell it to somebody that hopefully would meet the local needs and fit our mission and our model of Habitat very closely. We did end up selling it this past year. I think it was midsummer when we sold it to a local business owner so that they could use it for some of their employees.
Did you guys put any deed restrictions on the property as part of the sale?
No, as far as right of first refusal and purchasing back the property, no.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else? All right, well, Wendy, Nate, thank you very much for taking the time this morning. Is there any reason that we should anticipate the need to have you on the agenda for next month?
I think we would like to be able to come back and share with you the outcome to Casson Township Planning Commission meeting tomorrow evening. So we could do that in any which way you would determine. We're happy to come back and report at your next meeting, but considering the meeting's tomorrow evening, we're also happy to share that information in any other way.
As an executable item, I mean, if it wasn't to be approved, I don't know the process of the township to combine all 4 units into one. I believe that I would have to sign off on that. So that's where I'm kind of leading into, is to get the approval from this body to go ahead and combine the lots.
Mm-hmm.
So just something to think about. And we will pencil you guys in for an update for our February with the potential of an action item if approved. All right, thank you guys and have a great week and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving to discussion action item number 2. America request from Homestretch for a 1-year agreement. Mr. Simpson. Please feel free to come forward.
Thanks. Okay, I sent the email to Trudy, and I assume that you received the email that I sent. Did you send it to the commissioners? So I wanted to paint a picture of where we are right now and what the status is, basically. We need $810,000. We won't have a affordable housing product up there unless we raise that amount of money. My intent was that we would have a $500,000 affordable housing grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank. That didn't happen. I didn't make it to the second round. We had that snag with the donated land. With the donated land, we would have gained, I think it was 1.5 to 2 points more, and it would have made us competitive to go to the second round. We're prepared to walk away from the project you have other uses for that property, you want to take a different route. Our agreement's expired, we'll walk away, no problem. We don't expect our $8,000 back. It was part of the due diligence. If we went forward, I think what I would do is do another AHP grant this year in 2021, supply or put that submission in. And then I think the county needs to look at doing a fundraiser. And we ask the county to help raise $300,000 and see if they, if there's an appetite for that. Get a hold of the Leelanau Enterprise, make a case, put a presentation in the paper with the site plan that we've got. I think it's a great site and I think it would work. It's rural, it's set aside. Zoning's not an issue. I think we have our zoning okay. The pilot program to get the tax abatement, I think the county is amenable to that. We're not talking about a TIF, we're talking about a pilot. So a fundraiser in the paper, asking the community, can we get 300,000 from the community and see where that goes? I think it's a reasonable thing to ask. I don't think anybody has asked the county residents to pony up money. Where's the cash for the project? And it might be a good way to test to see if there's interest or enough interest to do that. So those are my thoughts.
Next question.
Go ahead.
The county is very limited on fundraising ability because we cannot donate money to organizations and so forth. Why would not an organization like yours do the fundraising for this project?
Yeah, good question. That's
There are
what
tax benefits, there's a lot of positive benefits. If
Right.
we receive a donation, we legally cannot donate it to anybody.
Yeah, I think when I say county, I don't mean the county, Leelanau County government. I mean the county residents.
Okay, I just want to clarify that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have any other avenue to think about how to get that financial gap raised. You know, the 500,000 with the AHP grant, if we can get our land agreement put together, if I get the pilot going this year, get the zoning, you know, we just creep forward on those little check marks, and then the AHP grant sort of becomes more of a reality. But I've got a ton of work to do to get that in place to be able to comfortably say, okay, yes, we can go for this 500,000 AHP grant, which isn't guaranteed, but along with the fundraiser at the same time, you know, that would tell us whether the community is really interested in providing affordable housing. I think they are. I think people would probably want to donate if they saw a viable project in front of them that they can put their money into, put their mouth where their money is, or money where their mouth is. And it's kind of an awkward site, but suppose we were to buy a site in the village of Lake Leelanau, it's going to cost us 100,000 plus just for the land anyway. So having the donated land or at a nominal cost and spending a little money on the infrastructure doesn't bother me. And it's rural so that nobody is going to claim NIMBYism, which is a big problem. So maybe it's a good property, but it's up to you. If you wanted to go with me down that road, we're willing to do the work. If not, we could pull out and look at some other projects.
I got a balance. I think you're right. We haven't gone down the road as far as looking at fundraising. It might be a possible avenue, but I task you with the question, can we do something else with the property? You're kind of swinging for the fences for maximum efficacy on the use of the parcel. Can we just put a single family residence or a duplex without going through all these hoops, without waiting, 9 months to hear if we get a grant? Do we have the resources to just put one up?
We meaning Homestretch?
Homestretch.
Well, it entail, again, getting a grant of some type to keep the cost of the home, whether it's a single family residence or a duplex or an apartment complex. We still need to bring that cost down.
You guys have no cash.
Well, we have a new projects account that, has, I think we got about another 85,000 in it, but that's for developing new projects feasibility and then submitting them for grant submissions. We don't really put the hard cash dollars into them. I wish we could,
Well, I look at you guys as a developer, I mean,
Right.
in the sense that, I mean, if we were to outright sell the property to you guys, with the expectation of a single family residence on there, there's equity in the property to build a home and do a normal construction loan, and whether you sell it or rent it, I mean, it's up to you guys. I mean, that's what I see as the alternative
Right.
to get immediate results and to get it back on the tax rolls. You know, going another year without it being on a tax roll is not a significant concern, but the fact is it's money, time, and assets that are tied up for both of us.
Right.
And for you to recoup anything, you know, it would take a change of plan, in my mind, to approach this. Is that something that you would consider?
Yeah, I think that's an idea that we could look at. I mean, we know what the site needs for, you know, the soils are better at the upper end, so we'd still be pumping and using that. We've gained a lot of knowledge about the site and how it would work. So if it were a duplex or two duplexes, then we could go for, the AHP has a grant too to reduce the cost of each home by $20,000 to $40,000 or $50,000. Again, it's still going through a grant process to try to lower the cost of the home. Conversely, we could put a $200,000 home on there and just
Do market rate.
what's that?
Do market rate.
Yeah, or even make it affordable in that it's designed efficiently
Right.
and whatnot. And we're not going to take a 25% developer fee. We'll take a 10 or less % developer fee.
But, you know, I mean, you've already got skin in the game. I mean, my position is, you know, I don't want to, my personal position is that I don't want to just, close the door on this. But the fact is I don't know if it's feasible to try to do the three, to wait and then not start construction until 22 or 23, what have you. I don't know if that's the best result for, you know, the community, if we can do it in a more expeditious fashion. And we, you know, lower the ceiling, if you will, as far as our goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the alternative for the land bank is simply to do a market rate and flip it.
Right.
You know, and if we're gonna do that, you've already got a survey, you've already got test holes, you've already got surveying done.
Yeah, we know the property. We've analyzed it. We've got some value in that.
And I'm not speaking on behalf of this board, I'm speaking on my behalf, and that's why I'm just asking, you know, if that's feasible, where you could approach that.
We have a property on Fern Street in Traverse City that it's not enough to build apartments on, and we can't get the zoning on it. So the board said, John, just build a duplex and let's sell it. You know, let's start it this spring and sell it. I guess that's kind of the same scenario here. My only concern is the length of the driveway and the infrastructure to get up to there. Can we spread that cost over 3 or 4 units? Maybe just do 2 duplexes or something. Is that what you're thinking?
Whatever we could.
The more units, the more we can spread the cost.
I understand that. I'm just looking at, you know.
Yeah, the one thing.
2021, you know, just.
Yeah.
Getting something.
So the Title 41, if it's different ownership, is a pain in the neck. And the nice thing about doing the apartments was that it was one owner, and we didn't have to go through that whole bureaucratic process. And it was more units, and then we can, you know, take the cost of getting up there and improving it to where it is buildable. We can lay that over 10 units or 8 units or what have you. So by doing a single family, maybe you just do one, you wouldn't have a problem.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're not gonna recoup your costs. And you know, my suggestion is that we go out for an RFP listing it.
It's fine. It's to build out one single family home. Yeah, I mean, that would take Homestretch out of the picture, or you're saying we would reply to the RFP. Is that what you're saying?
Well, seeing how we're semi-engaged at this point, again, I'm having just open dialogue.
So I guess you could put an RFP to Homestretch and anyone else that wants to participate? Or specifically to Homestretch? I mean, we could look at doing that. I can get
We
Sarah.
actually don't have any agreement with them at this point. It
Correct.
expired at the end of last year. My feeling would be is based on past precedent, if we put an RFP out there, we open it up to everyone.
Correct.
And in this particular project, I think got bigger than what I expected. I find it ironic that Homestretch could not get 2 units on Madison Avenue in a walkable community in a village with public sewer and water. And we're looking at a rural area that does not have a good road to it, and putting in all these multiple units with infrastructure cost is very high. It seems that that kind of money would be better used in a community where the infrastructure is already there and you can lower those costs. I'm not sure what the answer is for Merrick Road, but we've got time. We're not under any deadline to sell this property right now.
No, but my point is that if there is no interest in a single family resident from Homestretch, that we do pursue an RFP. What I'm entertaining and presenting to this body for consideration is because they've already have engaged with us and have done the due diligence, for them to be able to recoup their costs. If there's a commitment made for a single family unit to be done in 21, would this body entertain it?
Well, if I recall right from the agreement that we had, we weren't locked in with them to do the kind of development that Jonathan had proposed.
No.
It was a flat, pretty simple agreement that they were going to purchase the property by the end of December 31st, and they were going to do the development.
That did not occur.
Right. But it could have been a single family home at that time.
Correct?
So you're saying just to extend that offer to them again to see if they're interested to go for a single family home?
That's up to this body. I just, if there's no interest on Homestretch's end, then we give me the approval to work with Administrator's Office to do an RFP. And I bring it back in February. What's everybody else's thoughts?
What's Homestretch's interest? Are you interested in pursuing this, or I'm not quite sure where you stand on this.
Yeah, I speak for the board when I say this. We're about putting affordable housing anywhere, anytime, anyhow that it's feasible. I mean, I don't know anybody else that's really trying to do it other than Habitat, but when Trudy talks about, the major cost of the infrastructure being $100,000, well, if we go into the village, we're going to have, unless you have a piece of property in the village that we can do that, that's not $100,000, then that money is well spent on infrastructure costs, in my opinion. Plus, not being on the sewer system, we don't have a monthly sewer fee that we have to pay that goes up and up and up over the years. So there's so many trade-offs. And I like the Merrick Road property. I don't like that it's out of the way. It is on a bus route. It's just a lot of work to put together the funding to get it to be affordable. I mean, we could build a single family, and spec it out. That's not really our purview. And it's a lot of time and energy just to do one single spec home. I think Homestretch is more inclined to try to get multiple units on a piece of property. And being in a remote rural area, it's even harder than if you were downtown. But downtown, nobody wants it close to them. We've seen that. There's a property on Herman Road that Richard Baldwin's got 14 units that he's supposed to be developing. And I said, Richard, we'll just buy 10 of your units there. And that would be a best case scenario. He can't come up with a cost per unit to sell them to us for, but I'd still have to raise the money to buy it from him.
Approached us for demo either, on all that other stuff.
Right, right.
How soon do you need an answer on this? If the land bank gave you the green light to say, keep going with your grants and so forth, you know, what is your timeline? When do you have to apply again?
Yeah. The pre-application is in June. The final application is due in August. The award is in November. So.
We're not looking at sticks in the ground until 22.
Yeah, it's a year. It's a
Well, how
year.
about this? And this would give us flexibility. We can go out for RFP. We have the right to accept or reject any or all offers. It would give Jonathan a chance to come up with a proposal. We don't have to take the highest offer. If they or someone come up with a proposal that meets our goal of affordable housing, we can always accept it. But this way it keeps the process going forward and gives both organizations the opportunity to look at options and going forward. Without, I don't think, a downside. It'll take us a while to develop an RFP for bids.
Yeah.
So they'll give you a chance to look at options.
Well, I think our option is fundraising.
Yeah, well,
That's what I'm
that's something
coming.
we would not be involved in. That's something that you would have to
Yeah,
decide.
totally fine.
But
Yeah.
that would give him a chance to look at options and give everybody else a chance to look at options. And we could not be accused of playing favorites. And we could still meet our goals. We don't have to accept any or all offers. We could pick one. Let's say that there's a bid for X dollars. If a group comes in and says we can do affordable housing, we can afford X dollars, we still have the right to look at that.
And realistically, it'd be March before we'd have.
At the earliest, yeah. But it'll keep the process moving forward.
Okay.
We're still in land bank meeting, John.
Okay. I'm not opposed to that.
All right, I'll make a motion that we proceed with RFP for the Merrick Road property.
Support.
We can work on the details and the timeline and the process. At least start the process. It's gonna take us a while to develop an RFP anyway. So we can go back at the February meeting.
Is there any discussion regarding the motion and the second on the floor? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same. Passes unanimously. Well, thank you, John.
You bet.
And, obviously, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so that brings us to any other business. Anybody have any other business at this time?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, after last month's meeting, you emailed me the trial balance for, as of 12/31, I guess. And I just got one question. There's a line item called land held for resale, and there's like $83,000 in there. There aren't, besides $5,000 for Merrick Road and whatever our contribution was for the Habitat project in Maple City, is that the lion's share of the 83,000?
Yes. Yes, sir.
We put we have like 5,000 in Merrick Road, right?
Correct.
And we made we bought the property from Flaska for like what, 50 grand or something?
No, I think closing was
60, wasn't
in
it?
this, yeah, 60s.
Okay, so there's nothing else like the original Maple City project, I guess, our expenses were
No, we expensed those out in 2019, so, being cash, I mean, that didn't roll forward, we have nothing there. As of 12/31, these are unaudited numbers yet. We have Mariah Lane, which is the road up in Leelanau Township that we had $300, $400 into, and I sold for $1. So that's gonna come off of there. But I can get an itemized breakdown for that line item for you.
Well, I was
To
just
show you.
hoping that there was some other property that we're just waiting to get these other properties out of the way before we,
Unfortunately, no, we don't have, we're getting down to the bare bones here.
okay?
But I will send a transaction history report showing you the line item detail for the 085.
Right.
Any other business or comments? Just open question for a discussion. Is there any interest for this body to engage in conversation with the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to have as I state, a line of credit with the delinquent tax revolving fund for either demolition, acquisition, or remediation of future properties? Because we are getting to a point where our funding is drying up. The bulk of our previous cash that we had available was the property we sold on M22 for $185,000. And that has got us through the past 4 or 5 years. Now that that's kind of drying out, I gotta imagine we're gonna need additional sources of revenue because the tax increment financing is $5,000 a year roughly. So,
As one member here, I'd be interested in having that conversation with the Board of Commissioners. I think it would be timely.
I think what I will do if this board is not opposed to it is, I believe I have a department update in April where I present to the Board of Commissioners, and at that time, I will draw the question for discussion purposes, and if there's interest, move it forward to me. Is there any opposition to that? All right. All right. I don't believe we have anything for claims and accounts or post audit. So correspondence communication items. Public comment. Call in at 256-8109. Is there any public comment? All right. Member comments.
I got one question.
Go ahead, Dan.
In your recent, what you just talked about perhaps getting some money to replenish the coffers in case something comes up. I saw in the policies and procedures document that we will pursue opportunities for direct purchase of mortgage foreclosures. Is that something, well, first of all, would the money possibly be used for that? Wasn't the Empire property on M22 similar to that? It was in foreclosure?
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's a two-way coin. I mean, you don't want to go after some properties where the homeowner is down, but if the bank's going to take it over, and it's a good opportunity for the land bank to flip it to maybe even to affordable housing.
That's exactly what happened in Empire. The county was already vested into the property through charities programs. And we had the affordability restrictions on the property. The property was being rented out and the homeowner no longer wished to retain the property. We were able to use our cash to purchase the property and sell it to the tenants of said property and maintain those affordability restrictions. So I think it met all of our goals and objectives. And it was basically a paper shuffle for ownership to get it back on the tax rolls with those renewed affordability restrictions. So yes, we can pursue it in our bylaws. As anything, any acquisition, in my opinion, comes before this board. I know that there is provisions within the bylaws that allows me to just go ahead and purchase stuff. I'm not comfortable doing that without consensus, so it's, but we do have the option to make those purchases. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and whether or not that's a quicker way to get more affordable housing into Leelanau County by, instead of going through a homestretch program or habitat, if something's available and it's not a tear down or huge remodeling costs.
I'll nominate Dan, you yourself, to find those. And that's one thing that I don't have in my portfolio to really scrutinize and look at. But if we do come across them, I think that by all means, that they should be presented to this board for consideration.
Right. Well, your only means is either through knowing what sheriff's sales are or reading the enterprise classifieds to see a mortgage foreclosure. That'd be the easiest way. Yeah. Are you going to suspend tax foreclosures in 2021?
I don't believe that that is going to be a viable option this year. I think we're going to have some special circumstances that do merit suspension, but those individuals that were given a forbearance last year, I intend to foreclose on this year.
Okay.
So, any other questions? Then I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Yes, sir.
Motion.
Oh, yes.
Second.
Second. All right, we are adjourned. And Ty, welcome aboard. I think you'll be a welcome member to this body. I look forward to working with you and
Have a lot to learn.
To me, it's a lot of fun, so.
Trudy,
I see you,
do you need Richard to sign some documents to be treasurer, or you have for the bank?
No,
No.
I have to do that.
What's that?
I have to sequester that from the bank.
Okay, so.
I'll reach out to them. They're